Hello everyone, I am AP Singh. I hope all of you have done your performance good today and all of you are doing good. So, we will go into this area of environment. Let us see the questions. Mostly the questions were factual in nature, as generally happens when it comes to the environment area. So, we will see one by one. We will not be having much of the detailed discussion. We will just go through those questions. Let us see. Question number 7 is there. This is a set C. I hope all of you know this. Question number 7, consider the following statement. Statement 1, the United Nations Capital Development Fund and the Arbor Day Foundation have recently recognized the Hyderabad as 2020 Tree City of the World. Question mainly was from current affairs, and that's statement number 1. Simply, we need, if any one of you have gone through this, then this is one. The Tree City, which if you talk about this program, this is program of Food and Agricultural Organization and as well as the Arbor Day Foundation. So, this is wrong here, is what is mentioned is the United Nations Capital Development Fund. This is wrong. In place of this, it should have been the Food and Agricultural Organization, the Rome based organization. So, this is statement number 1 is wrong. Statement number 2 says Hyderabad was selected for the recognition for a year following its commitment to grow and maintain the urban forest. Yes, statement number 2 is correct. So, here the answer is the statement number 1 is not correct, and but the statement number 2 is correct. The answer is D, right? Answer is D. Come to the next question. Which of the following is used in preparing a natural mosquito repellent? Again, a kind of a GK based question. Here this is Congress grass, lemongrass, Congress grass, which you all know famously also called as you people may have studied number of places, that is Congress grass is one of the invasive alien species, but please do remember, just to confuse you, must be given over here. The answer over here is what? कांग्रेस ग्रास, लेमन ग्रास, एलिफेंट ग्रास, ये ऐसे 4 नाम आपको दिए. लेमन ग्रास, इसमें आंसर क्या है? द आंसर इज लेमन ग्रास. लेमन ग्रास इज द वन which is also along with the various other extract mainly act as a natural mosquito repellent. So, that's a question number 71. Answer is this. Question number 72, consider the following kinds of organism: copypods, cyanobacteria, diatoms, foraminifera. If those who have attended the class, you must have seen when we are studying about the food chain, the trophic level 1, trophic level 2, trophic level 3. In the very beginning, we have written about diatoms, then crustaceans, then herring, and then along with the diatoms like phytoplanktons, like dinoflagellates, like cyanobacteria, coccolithophore. Among those, remember what is given in the option is cyanobacteria and as well as diatoms. So, these two, the cyanobacteria and diatoms, they are principally the kind of organism about primary producers. इसमें पूछा है what are the primary producers? So, among them the answer is 2 and 3. 2 and 3, that is D. The primary producers, cyanobacteria and diatoms. Not much to discuss in those questions because the straightforward questions are there. Consider the following animals. The question is this: to reduce the chance of being captured by predators, which of the above organisms roll up and protect their vulnerable parts? Here the question is, among them which of those organisms principally uses one of the strategy to be protected from the predators? So, among them to roll up, to curl themselves, that is hedgehog does this. Yes. Pangolins, we have seen in case of in the wake of COVID was also in news. So, pangolin and hedgehog both. So, answer is 1 and 3. Marmot, the mammals, they don't do this, but the hedgehog and the pangolins, they do this principally. So, 1 and 3. Answer is, where is this? Correct one is 1 and 3. Answer is D. Question number 73. Answer is D. Question number 74 is, with reference to the New York Declaration on Forest, which of the following statement are correct? The question is with respect to the New York Declaration on Forest. One thing, if you have studied in the class, if you can recall that many of the conventions, protocols we have studied in the class, international agreement, conventions, protocols, and we used to talk about that if these terms are written, generally they are, however we have to study, generally they are legally binding in nature. When it comes to the framework, when it comes to the declaration, when it comes to the partnership, if these kind of terms are there, generally they are non-legally binding, but yet again we had to study. There is no such kind of a rule, but we from the examination point of view studied there. But when it comes to this New York Declaration on Forest, as a simple information A, it is a legally binding? No, it is not legally binding. So, statement number 3 becomes incorrect. It is not legally binding. Statement number 1, it says it was the first endorsed at United Nations Climate Summit in 2014. Yes, it is an outcome of the 2014 summit when the United Nations Secretary General Summit took place in 2014, also called as United Nations Secretary General Climate Summit. So, that's a simply United Nations Climate Summit in 2014. 2014. It is right. So this is also one correct. And along with this, if we see that this was signed not only by the government but also by the non-governmental organizations, also by the multinational corporations, so national, subnational governments. It means here it is endorsed by the governments, big companies, that is multinational corporations, indigenous communities, organizations, etc. Yes. So one is also correct. Two, it says it endorses a global timeline to end the loss of forests, yes, by 2020 to be to be brought to the half, and by 2030 to end the deforestation, the loss of forests. So it means the timeline is there. So 1 is also there, 2 is also there, and 4 is also there. So answer should be 1, 2 and 4. A, what is that? A, 1, 2 and 4. 1 is correct, 2 is correct, and the 4 is also correct. That is question number 74. Next is, which of the following is a filter feeder? Again a straightforward question. Which of those is filter feeder? Filter feeder, oyster is a filter feeder. The oyster, the filter feeder, they have that kind of a structure where the water having the food passes through those filters, then the food is captured there and they rely on those, on that food. So that's oyster is one of the filter feeders. Along with this, next question, in case of which of the following biogeochemical cycles, that's the nutrient cycles they are talking about, biogeochemical cycles, the weathering of rocks is the main source. So now weathering of rocks, if we talk about, is the source, as of now we are not using the word main here. Weathering of rocks is the source of release of nutrients to enter the cycle. Now to enter the cycle, when we talk about here, the principally in case of phosphorus cycle also and in case of sulfur cycle also, in both those two cycle, this is one of the sources from where the nutrient is entering into cycle. But when it comes to the sulfur cycle, example if I say like oceans, one of the important source of sulfur coming into the sulfur cycle, example phytoplanktons releasing dimethyl sulfonopropionate, and this leading to the sulfate aerosols. It means presence of sulfate in the atmosphere. So along with this, remember there are the weathering of a rock is also one of the contributors when it comes to the sulfur cycle. But when it comes to the phosphorus cycle, phosphorus principally entering into the cycle essentially as a sedimentary cycle. So this is principally a sedimentary cycle, essentially a sedimentary cycle. Sulfur is also principally following a sedimentary cycle, but not only that sedimentary approach. So here remember, answer is what? Answer is C, phosphorus cycle. Which of the following are detrivores? Again, detrivores means the one which are eating the dead organic matter, the dead material. Detrivores means eating the dead organic matter. So among them, again it's a straightforward question from the class notes. If you see, go back, earthworm we have seen in the class, we must have written millipedes and as well as wood lice. That is 1, 3 and as well as 5. Seahorses, some years back UPSC asked this question in a different way when this is one of the fish when the question was asked in the examination. So here earthworm, millipedes and as well as the wood lice. Answer is 1 earthworm, 3 millipedes and 5 wood lice. 1, 3 and 5. Answer is C. 1, 3 and 5, I hope. Earthworm, millipedes and as well as wood lice. Next is the common carbon metric. Again simple current affairs based environment related question, the one which comes with respect to the certain programs, issues, projects, certain organizations, certain new developments, development of tools, etc. Similarly, that's a common carbon metric. What is common carbon metric? Supported by United Nations Environment Program, has been developed for what? Answer is A, that is assessing the carbon footprint of building operations around the world. Building operations around the world, it is with respect to this. Again remember, it's a straightforward question, so there is not much to be discussed when it comes to those questions, because they are facts based questions are there. We have also seen in the class many a times, many of you sometimes in the class used to wonder that why do we write these many number of informations, these many number of facts in the class. As I used to tell you that principally this area, environment area, has more contribution coming from the number of information. Straightforward questions do come, like example, which of the following have species that can establish symbiotic relationship? Again, if you go back to the class notes, you have seen the ecosystem, and in the ecosystem topic we studied various interactions, and among the interaction was mutualism, and as well as mutualism combined with the symbiosis we have seen. And in that case we have seen one as coral and zooanthellae. And coral, this also we have written in the class, coral belongs to class Anthozoa, phylum Nidaria. So it means that is what? Nidarians. If we see phylum Nidaria, phylum Cnidaria, one of the important members of the phylum Cnidaria is, that is belonging to the class Anthozoa, is corals, and corals live in the symbiotic relationship with zooanthellae. Zooanthellae producing food using photosynthesis, providing food to the corals, which provide the place where these algae live, and as well as the algae also provides a color to the coral. That's why when under the environmental stresses the algae leave corals, it is also called as coral bleaching. So this cnidarians, yes. Fungi, when it comes to fungi or fungi, we have seen lichens, algae and fungi. They have the symbiotic interaction, that is lichen is a symbiotic relationship of algae and as well as fungi, or cyanobacteria and fungi. So fungi, yes, and as well as protozoa, yes. In fact, you may have seen, remember if you can recall, we have seen termite and protozoa in obligatory mutualism, where it is essential for the survival of both termite as well as a protozoa. The termite which is helping in the digestion of the dead wood eaten by the termite, whereas the termite is providing the place and as well as the food to the termite. The termite is providing the place and the food to the protozoa, and protozoa is helping the digestion of wood that is eaten by the termite. So it means protozoa and termite, they live in the symbiotic interaction. So it means cnidarians also, fungi also, and protozoa also. For some students who have not studied, not attended the classes, may look little difficult question, but for others who have attended the classes, you may see that it's a very one of the easiest of the questions, given the kind of information which is already there in the class notes. So one is 1, 2 and 3 that we have seen already in the class notes. R2 code of practices, again simple question. With respect to the facts pick, what is R2 code of practices? Constitutes a tool available for promoting the adoption of environmentally responsible practices in electronic recycling industry. Responsible recycling. So here R2 principally is talking about the responsible recycling. Responsible recycling principally with respect to the electronics recycling industry. So that is question number 86. Answer is A. Question number 86, answer is A. 87. Why is there a concern about copper smelting plants? So here principally the smelting plants which mainly use, we are heating the ores in order to recover the base metals, that is smelting plants. So from the most of the smelting plants we have a similar kind of problems generally. One is what they may release lethal quantities. When we say the lethal quantities of carbon monoxide, one important word is here written is lethal. Lethal quantities of carbon monoxide. In the primary reactions we do have a carbon monoxide, but again further reactions taking place and leading to the carbon dioxide. So if we see the carbon monoxide emission may be there, but that's in very small quantity, at times very low quantities. It is not a lethal quantity of carbon monoxide that will be released to the environment from the copper smelting plant. So for me, one should not be correct, because carbon monoxide emission may be taking place. Carbon monoxide principally, if we talk about the pollutant, is not a qualitative pollutant, it is principally a quantitative pollutant. Within a specific amount of quantity, it is not as harmful it would be when it breaches a particular quantity of emission. And here a specific term has been used, and that is lethal quantities. When we say the lethal quantities, it means it is emitted in that quantity where it becomes lethal when it comes to the human health, its emission in the environment. So number 1 shall be incorrect. If it is 1 is incorrect, 1 is incorrect, 1 is incorrect, so the answer shall become B, and that is what 2 and 3. B, 2 and 3, that is question number 87, easy for me. That is 80 at a, like Baki I have already told you, is there as a CO2 carbon monoxide emission is there? Yes, carbon monoxide emission may be there in the primary reactions, the carbon monoxide does come there, but is it emitted to the environment in the lethal quantity is a point over there, and that's right for me, it's not. So that is for me, it should be 2 and 3, 1 is because incorrect and 1 is given in the 3 options there. Next is question number 88. With reference to furnace oil, consider the following statement. Furnace oil, if you can remember, if you can recall the previous class notes, I told you about the pet coke and the furnace oil, and especially when we are talking about the environmental racism, there also we may have studied about this. Pet coke we specifically talked about, same as a one of the important product of the oil refineries, yes, one of the byproduct of the oil refineries. So it is written product, it means it is one of the byproduct of the oil refineries, yes. One of the byproduct of the crude oil distillation, yes. Some of the industries use it for the generation of powers, yes, in the transportation also, and along with this many other industries, maybe cement and various other industries may use it to generate the power. And along with this it causes the sulfur emissions, yes, it causes the sulfur emission to the environment. Same was also the case with respect to the pet coke also. We have seen one of those two important environmental pollutant. Question number 88. So 1s, 2s and 3s, correct? Answer shall be D, that is 1, 2 and 3. Question number 88, with reference to furnished oil, consider the following statement, that is there. Question number 89, again an easy question. If we see directly class notes based question, we covered in the class what is green carbon, what is blue carbon, what is black carbon, what is brown carbon. So we have studied those terms in the class, and among them is a blue carbon. In fact, if you recall, we studied blue carbon initiative also. What is blue carbon initiative? Blue carbon. So what is blue carbon? Blue carbon is carbon that is captured by the marine or coastal ecosystem or ocean and coastal ecosystem, that is called as blue carbon. So what is blue carbon here? Blue carbon is a carbon that is captured by the ocean and coastal ecosystem, that is blue carbon. So again, in the next question is, in the nature which of the following is obligor most likely to be found surviving on a surface without soil? Now this question is a little tricky question in the sense it depends the one who has framed this question, they have resorted to what kind of a literature, what kind of a material, what kind of a textbooks in terms of what if it has been taken from some place. Because remember, we have seen ecological succession in the class, and in the ecological succession when we started studying, we have seen primary ecological succession, secondary ecological succession, and in the primary ecological succession where availability of soil is not there, and in those cases the organisms first to occupy in that ecological succession we have seen among the pioneer species principally is lichens. Mosses are also the pioneer species, but lichens definitely are the pioneer species. We have seen among the various species first to the occupy, and as well as they can grow on the bare rock, for them the soil is not needed. So that is what is lichens. But see what happens there, and first of all, number 2 point, the question says in the nature. So it means what I generally would construe from this word, especially the word nature here, is that they are not talking about hydroponics. If we talk about the hydroponics, then number of various other plants may be grown without having a availability of soil. So what it talks about generally. In number 2, it is written which of the following is are most likely to be found surviving on a surface without soil. So it's here as if there is no anthropogenic support, it exists, they exist in nature, and these are the species who do not need necessarily soil existence in order to survive. So in those cases lichens are there, but some mosses, not all mosses species, but some mosses species are there. Some of the mosses species can survive without soil too. So it means, remember, if you talk about some of the mosses species, they also can survive without soil, and lichen also can survive without soil. So answer should be, if we go by the NCERT books, if you go by the conventional books, then answer should be 2. And if we see little more detailed coverage may be there, they may have gone through the various different, like the person who has framed the question paper has relatively better grasp on those topics. Based on this, if we add little more liberal perspective, as we talk in the class, one is a specific, one is called as a strict approach, and one is called as a liberal approach. So in the strict approach, the answer shall be lichens, that is 1, which everybody generally knows. In the liberal approach, the answer shall be 2 and 3. So here the answer may be either B or the answer may be C. It depends, as we have seen in the past also, how the UPSC goes. But in all likelihood, I believe, if we see NCERT books etc., generally we see lichens as the pioneer species able to grow on a bare rock areas, and especially in the primary ecological succession they have a significant role to play. From that perspective the question has been asked, the answer will be lichen, otherwise lichen as well as mosses. So this is what, these are the questions which we have dealt from those areas. For the remaining questions, other than members will look after that. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope all of you are doing good. Please do take care of, and like whatever, like you have already finished this particular part, and let's proceed for the future. All the very best. Thank you.